Hey loves. So this is a bit of a follow-up to the last video, which was all about unburdening anger. And, I'm in preparation for the Gracewalker series, which is a depth practicum series that unburdens warrior, lover, witch, pilgrim, anger, sexuality, magic, and the call of the sacred path, right? We're starting with warrior, so I am just full of all sorts of things, asking deeply to hear and to be shown some things about anger that really do help to identify how it gets distorted and why and what its true nature is and how it really serves. So today's video, I just wanted to take a moment to bring forward a couple sensibilities from her mystery school around this, and they're specific to anger that arises in intimate relationships that kind of destroys the trust there or destroys the connection. So, I mean, whether it's your lover, whether it's your child, whether it's your parents, even when it's, community or there's something you're working with to create with other people, there is this very delicate thing called trust that is building. And there's a delicate web, right? And there are delicate threads that connect us. And in intimate relationships, when anger arises and it starts to destroy that, the heartbreak for us can be immense, right? And it's not a given, right? As I said in the last video, a lot of what we're learning is just things that we were never taught, which is how do we handle raw elemental power, like what anger is, the fire of it. So I have a couple of just things for you to consider. And one is an approach, right? So the thing about anger coming up in intimate relationships. So anger is there to protect and to defend and to help with expression and to clarify, to help us see when things are not right. There's a lot of things that it's there to do. Ideally, all of those things happen at the same time that your intimacy is deepening, right? That you feeling more protected, you feeling more clear, you feeling defended in a way that keeps you from becoming brittle and reactive, that all of those things would anchor you more deeply in yourself and enable you then to find a way to deepen the intimacy, to grow the trust between the two of you, if that's going to be the destiny of that relationship. So that's the question, is how do you do that? Because it can be confusing to come into an intimacy, know that, like, if you wouldn't be there if you didn't love this person, especially if it's a chosen intimacy, but of course with your children, right? If there's a familial love. And when you are feeling the need to protect yourself in that relationship somehow, then there's a bit of we're being asked to alchemize some pretty, in some ways, what could feel like a real tension, right? I love you, I want to be with you, and you are not safe. I don't want to be with you. I want you out of my space. What you're doing is not okay, right? And so what we want to do, hopefully, what I would want for you is that somehow your experience of your anger would kind of fill you, purify you, clarify you, that you could sit with it, ripen in it, and then deliver it in a way that's really liberating. Ideally for both of you, but especially for yourself, right? A lot of times the way we deliver anger further entangles us. The way we deliver our feelings about what's right and not right, or what hurts, or what should be happening, or what we're angry about, it actually ends up further entangling us, which isn't its point. Its purpose is to liberate us, right? And there is a way to do that where we're actually liberating the person that we love as well. So here's one possibility. And it would move through you in whatever way it does. But one possibility is to have an experience where you're angry, and it's basically comes out. It's like, fuck you. I I will not tolerate this. You are nothing like what you said you were. You are out of alignment. I'm done. I'm done with this relationship. you're just like every other man I've been with. You're whatever, all the shit that comes out of our mouths when we start to really generalize and try to attack somebody else because we're angry. You're a patriarchal this or that, you're whatever, essentially starting to cut down and to drive away, right? There's that. The other possibility, right, is to actually be tempered enough by anger, by the purity of anger, that we get to a place where we're clear. Yeah, I'm not available for that. Whatever the behavior is, whatever the thing is that's going on, it's just not, I'm not available for that, but it's neutral, right? And you can watch the other video for more discussion of that. And a lot of this is what we're going into in this series. I'm just sharing a couple ideas with you. But where once you get neutral and there's actual clarity in your being that, yeah, no, that's not going to happen. That's not happening anymore. I'm not available for that. And you can also feel your love, and you can maybe remember how you know and what you've seen in this person. And you can remember that maybe we're sitting in front of each other beyond to create a relationship or anything else. We're sitting in front of each other to liberate each other, to remember each other, to walk each other home in whatever way we possibly can in this confusing world, right? And to sit in front of someone and say, hey, I love you too much to let you treat me like that. I love you too much to let you treat me like that. It's not who you are. It's not who I know you to be. I don't know what's going on for you. I don't know if you want to share that with me, right? But I love you too much, and I definitely love myself too much to allow that. So when you're ready to really be who you are, when you want to reach toward that, I'm right here. Until then, I'm not available for this. Period. Right? Can you, in this made-up scenario, I hope you can feel the difference. They're doing the same thing, right? One is reactive, one is descriptive. Like one actually kind of consolidates this person, this opponent in front of you, whoever it is, into the one aspect of them, or the aspect of them that is probably one of the most out of balance in their being, right? The other calls them forward. It's initiatory. It's potentially liberating. They'd have to accept that invitation. You'd have to be in a place in which to really receive it and to also step forward and meet it, right? But you can hopefully see the difference. And if you listen to those two statements, they're doing the same thing. They're both laying a line. Like in neither one of those statements are you overriding anything. But in the second, you're opening a door. Anyway, I give that to you just as a kind of, hopefully a bit of a transmission or an invitation to consider, what does it look like? What can it sound like? What's the internal kind of principled alignment that we can sit in that allows us to use the sword with love, truly, right? Truly for liberation rather than destruction. So that's one part of that. And then the other part, and we'll get more into this for sure, all of this in the series, but what I've found, I feel like when we talk about what does it mean for anger to ripen inside of you, for us to actually kind of hold it long enough for it to become what it really wants to be, that there is an intensity to it, there is a discomfort, there is a burn, there's a purification. There's a lot of things that anger is, which is why we often don't hold it very long. We expel it, right? Or we sit on it, right? There's kind of those two poles. One is it's just volatile, it's just explosive, and it's just coming out, and you're not really holding it long enough to let it make you wise. On the other side is you're tamping it down and you're overriding it and you're not listening to it, and so you're never allowing it to make you strong, right? You're never allowing it to inform your being until you either collapse or you realize that you've created all these relationships in this whole life on a foundation that isn't even real because you were in denial, right? These are some of the things we're dealing with, and some of the things we have to reckon with as we actually start to ask and look at the fruits of our lives, which is what we do together. So The other thing that I would say about that in terms of, a piece around what does it mean or what does it look like to hold anger long enough for it to become personal power, right? To ride it, to me looks a little bit like this. In you, the sword is pointed both ways. Like that's kind of part of the trick of it, right? So that your sword is pointed at this person or this situation, and it's saying, "Oh no, that's not going to happen here. No, that line doesn't get crossed. I'm not available for that." There's a line being drawn, and there's a clarity. Like I see what you're doing. I see that what you said and what you did don't add up. I see that what you promised is not what you did. Whatever. That there's a willingness to see what you see, hold it at the tip of the blade, and then to do the same. And to say, I wrote it down. You're supposed to say, well, this isn't going to happen, i.e., well, you're not going to treat me like that. We're not going down this road. This is not the kind of relationship I'm creating or allowing. And then at the same time you look inside, and when you feel how you feel that voice or that way of like you're going to cut down, or you're going to abandon, or you're going to do all the things, right? You're going to annihilate and go into amnesia about all the other good things that this person is, right? All the things that can happen, and you say, well, that's not going to happen either. So you kind of sit in this place where, well, that is not going to happen. That relationship, that treatment, whatever that dynamic is. Guess what else is not going to happen? Criticism. That's not who I am, right? You start to burn. That's where the burn is. Yeah, well, anger, you don't get to move until I have sorted out a clear path for you to move down. And how I would do that is by defining where it's not going to go. And a lot of times what that means is we just end up sitting with it until it shows us. There's a revelatory process, actually. Well, I'm not going to criticize. Maybe I'm not going to cuss. I'm not good at that one yet. I'm not going to degrade this person. I'm not going to lump them in with everyone else. I'm not going to treat them with any level of disrespect. And also maybe I'm not going to be the one that just annihilates the entire fabric of this relationship. And so you sit in that, basically just with a lot of no's. And no, the no statement is what sharpens the blade. And it's turning it toward ourselves. Because you'll have, when you're angry enough, you'll have all sorts of possibilities of how that wants to move. And what it means to sit with that and let it ripen is to basically sit very close to our principles and very close to the one that we serve, very close to what we are here to actually bring through in the world and who we're here to really be. And if we are not here to be someone who destroys tenderness and who destroys other people, even if they're attempting to, on some level, undermine us, whatever it is, then we sit and we say, I won't do that. Oh, I'm not doing that. I'm not going to internalize that. That's another one. The opposite of like, I'm not going to criticize this person. I'm not going to whatever. I'm not going to make them feel less than. I'm also not going to internalize that, okay, that's not an option. I'm not absorbing the consequences of their actions. And you sit in this kind of uncomfortable place where maybe all the ways in which you've habitually learned how to handle this energy are all unacceptable. None of them have really brought you anywhere good, maybe. Or you're at a threshold where you're ready to deepen in how you hold it. And there's something new being asked for. And to sit in that and just sit in it is what lets it ripen. And out of that, something new will come. This is a force of nature, right? So it gives rise to life. There's real life in it. There's something new. There's something that will be given. But we have to have the strength of vessel and strength of character to let that be shaped inside of our being. So those are my two offerings. Just as I've been considering what are the, maybe just a transmission or consideration of other options for what to do when anger arises and starts to destroy an intimate relationship, right? That you could, instead of looking towards what you've decided they are, you could maintain your clarity about what you see, but you could choose to elicit who they really are, right? You could call that to the surface. Importantly, with that one, it has to be authentic. You've seen, you wouldn't love someone, you wouldn't have that connection if you hadn't seen who they really are and where they're really headed as they get closer and closer to home. Right? And also that, to sit in the fire of anger means to basically just disallow. You disallow how maybe you're being treated, but you also disallow your own kind of movements out of center. You disallow your own kind of deficits to take over, right? And we burn in that a little bit. It's a burn. But what comes from the other side, what I've experienced when I've actually successfully done that is actual liberation. Like the relief in the one in front of me and the way that they do come to the surface and the way that then I am sitting more and more and just like, oh wait, I restored faith in myself. I did not become a whiny little brat. I didn't become a critical bitch. I didn't go into a bunch of labeling. I didn't go into a bunch of unfounded psychologizing. I didn't do any of those things. Oh my God. I sat in it. And what came from me out of that was pure. It had love in it. It had real power in it. And it was in the moment. And it changed. It alchemized both of us and opened a door to something different. It didn't further entangle either one of us. So those are my thoughts. Yeah, just been thinking about y'all and just kind of continuing to explore this. Those are taken from some sensibilities from her mystery school. You're welcome to join me. Warrior happens on May 22nd. We're going to go way deeper into all this. I never feel like I can quite do it justice here, and I'm never quite as kind of articulate and organized as I end up being in those, but I am really happy to be sharing this time with you. I thank you for spending time with me. I thank you for your responses. It's really helpful to me to hear what's moving in all of you, even though I can't often respond to them. I do read them, and I really appreciate feeling you out there. All right, I really am very grateful to be on this journey with you because I know we only do it together. There's a big ask. Life is a big ask, but it has so much for us, and I'm grateful to be on this with you. Blessed be.